Explaining your cluster results. In this video, we will discuss how to interpret the results of your confidential individual culture scores. The box that you see in the results is how you see your behaviours. The shaded area that you see shows the range of scores you've received. So in other words, the span between the highest score you received and the lowest score you received. The line that cuts across the shaded area represents your average score for that behaviour from your cluster. The scale represents how a signature behaviour is positively demonstrated. It doesn't necessarily mean that a person is likeable or isn't performing. It simply demonstrates whether or not they are seen to be positively demonstrating the individual behaviour across their cluster. The shaded area of the scale, below the line, shows that different people within the cluster have a different perception of how you deliver this behaviour. Let's have a look at some examples. In this example, the box sits above the shaded area and above the average score received from the cluster. This basically means this person overestimates their own demonstration of the behaviours, and their peers are not seeing what they think they are delivering in terms of the behaviour. The actual average sees this person being reported as positively demonstrating the behaviours 60% of the time. That's what the group sees. You can actually see there's quite a wide spread of the shaded area, which means the behaviour is being seen inconsistently. What you will also be able to see is that the average sits in the top third of the shaded area. This means that more people are seeing the behaviour being positively demonstrated. If the average is actually sitting in the middle of the shaded area, it's more likely that some people are seeing this behaviour demonstrated and others aren't, and it's a reasonably even split. If the average is in the bottom of the box, it means that more people are not seeing those behaviours demonstrated as much as those that say they are. In these examples, we have left the average at 60%. In this result, you can see there is less variation, so the shaded area has narrowed, but the average is still sitting at 60%, so in the middle, meaning there are just as many people scoring the individual in the 7s as in the 5s, so there's a balance there. The person doesn't see themselves demonstrating these behaviours as much as their peers do, so they underestimate their demonstration of the behaviours. This person is probably less confident in the team. With the final set of results, you will see little variation across the group. The average is still sitting in the middle, which is good, and the individual result resembles the average, so all three come together. This means that the team see the individual the same way the individual sees themselves. So once you get to this point, it's normally the point where you see the whole equation moving up. So you can see the average is still sitting at 60% and the entire equation moving up. So what does a set of results look like over time? So you might see something like this, where the first set of results is really wide, and that's to be expected. The first set of results in this example had no participation by the individual. So you will basically see a wide spread of results and the average sitting somewhere in the middle, with the individual not participating. If the group participation rate is above 25%, you will see a set of results even if you didn't score yourself. It may be at this point that the individual thinks, hang on a minute, I've got a set of results and I didn't do the survey. I need to have a say. So it comes to the next checkpoint, and if the person takes part, there will be an individual result. You'd normally see something like this, where the individual says, I'm doing a lot better than my peers think I'm doing. Between the different checkpoints, people will start to change their behaviour, and also the group starts to understand more because they've done the we do this by exercise of what the behaviour actually looks like. So you get two factors associated with the change. One is the group becomes more aware of what the behaviours are and what we are looking for, and the second is the individual starts to actually demonstrate them, even if they're not aware of it themselves. Then, as you can see, it slowly moves to the point that you actually get that relationship between the average and the individual. And once you start getting that closer relationship between what the team thinks and what the individual thinks, then the team and the individual can move to improve results over time. And at the very end is where we would like to be with everyone in the organisation. Now, if you start out at a 9 or 10, you're walking on water. Very few people will start in that space. If you start out between 0 and 2, you're probably doing everything you can not to demonstrate the signature behaviours, but it's unlikely we'll actually see that. Most people will sit somewhere between 3 and 8 when they start, and a lot of that is to do with the organisation coming to understand what a positive demonstration actually looks like. So, what if you've got any questions about your results? There are several ways to get answers to any questions that you may have. One is that you may want to speak to an advocate. If you are an advocate, you may need to sit down and have a conversation with someone around the results. You may want to go to your manager and ask them about the results. A third one is that you'll pick up the phone and speak to the Ford team. You may also wish to speak to colleagues, and we would encourage everyone to be supportive if someone approaches you. A list of advocates is on the Ford microsite should you wish to contact someone. At the end of the results, you'll have a report come out for each individual, a set of frequently asked questions, and a contact number for the Ford team. The key thing is that we have a common understanding of what the results actually look like and how to interpret them.